Welcome into Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. The Atlanta Falcons. It is amazing to me how we sit here and do the same song and dance every single season. Doesn't matter who the head coach is. Doesn't matter who the general. I mean, literally the same topics. I mean, if you go through and watched all our Falcons videos and went back to like the months, like you'd probably find the exact same topics, talking about firing head coaches, talking about firing general managers, talking about Arthur Blank being, a clown show of an owner. And one of the big ones that we've covered heavily on the show over the years has been Rich McKay. And Rich McKay did something that I'm sure Arthur Blank is sitting there with his hands in his face, just face palming. Like, why did you go on to, after this loss, go into a public setting and talk? And as PR as you can be, as they coach everyone up, sometimes you slip up and make mistakes. And we have been told, which we have said a million times on this show, is without a doubt a lie, that Rich McKay is not part of day-to-day football operations. If you go look at the interview that he had on 680 The Fan with Chris Dimino and Nick Cellini, you will find out his role has not changed. Because not only obviously was he leading the coaching stir, whispering in Arthur Blank's ear the whole internal struggle we saw with Bill Belichick, knowing that he'd have to go, and he ended up winning that thing. And maybe that was a good thing in hindsight, but the process is not good when you have people caring more about their own jobs than making the right coaching hire. But not only that, he admits he slipped up, I would say. This is the part where he really slipped up. And I was in that meeting. And those meetings, if you followed this situation long enough, are those Monday morning meetings that they have with Arthur Blank and Rich McKay, which he was no longer supposed to be a part of because he's not a part of day-to-day. And if he had it against the Dolphins, he's having it every week. He is just as involved as ever, and he is this 20-year man, the only man that through multiple general managers, maybe going on to our third over this stretch, if Terry Fontenot gets 4 head coaches, maybe 5 probably if Raheem Morris, that gets zero blame, just nothing. No, nothing. Just hasn't gotten fired. He's the only man that's been here through all this bullshit and has made it out unscathed.
He's gotten promotions. He's the only guy that's ever worked for $1 billion organization that has failed in such a public spotlight and got it promoted. He's not the first guy to work for $1 billion organization, sports or not, and been promoted, but in such a spotlight where it's like, oh, it was clearly like Rich McKay is, he's got his, his fingerprints are all over this organization, and he is still being promoted. And the thought process was that he would be promoted to be the AMSBE CEO, therefore taking a step back from Falcons, taking on the stadium, United, the business side of things,
the World Cup.
Yeah. That is just so clearly not the fucking case. And anybody that is still buying this bullshit from the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You've got the worst case of Stockholm Syndrome I've ever seen in my entire life. And he said it on this interview that Blank, the most powerful man maybe in Atlanta. Like there's only other than maybe the governor. I mean, this guy is the most powerful, is listening to fans. And that is important in some aspect because you want to talk about how can we make our stadium better? How can we make the tailgating experience better? But when you're talking about constructing a football team, the fans' perspective doesn't matter at all. It shouldn't matter because generally speaking, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, generally speaking. And this guy has his ear to the streets. And if you ever wondered, we know it better than a lot of people just because we've had, our paths have crossed and it has not been good. If Atlanta Falcons know who Sports Talk ATL are, we could tell the story if we wanted to, but they know who we are. And they have actively shut us out of Flowery Branch for past, it wasn't even a fuck up. It dates back to the Deshaun Watson situation. So this is an organization, and I'm not going to say that we're completely small fish, but we're certainly not, 680 or 92.9, and they care that much about us. They have got their priorities so fucking twisted that you should not have confidence in this current leadership to get us out of this void. There is no fucking way. And I don't want people to twist this around to saying I don't like Arthur Blank, the man, because the man Arthur Blank is admirable. He's done more for the city of Atlanta than any single person, at least, in my lifetime. I'm not going to go back to the civil rights stuff, but in my lifetime, there has never been somebody who's done more for the city of Atlanta. He's a very generous man. I'm not saying he's a bad man. I'm not even saying he doesn't give a fuck about the Falcons. I would wager he would give away a lot of his wealth if it meant a Super Bowl in Atlanta. Like, I would wager that he would give away a shocking amount of his wealth to get a Super Bowl. But that doesn't matter. What matters at the end of the day, in a league that is built to get you from worst to first more than any other league, baseball, basketball, hockey, football, to go on 8 years now of where we're looking at 8 years, 7 years, maybe 8 years of not making the playoffs, of just mediocrity, in a league specifically designed to keep parity as close as possible. To do that and to consistently not make the single change, that there's only one singularity through all of these Arthur Smiths, Dan Quinn's, Raheem Morris, Thomas Dimitroff, Terry Fontenot. There's only a couple of guys who've been here through it all. Like, at the end of the day, when Rich McKay is telling you, even that interview was fucking awful. Good for Cellini and Domino pressing him to his face, because that's not always the case in Atlanta media. Good for them. They pressed him, and he looked like a little kid who'd never spoken before in public. I mean, it's like this guy had no awareness whatsoever that somebody was going to come up and be like, what is it that you do? And he goes, the worst thing that bothers me so fucking much is when he says something along the lines of, I'm a resource. I'm here for the guys if they need anything. You're fucking involved day to day. Just say it. If you are a resource for these guys, you are involved every single day. That's just a simple fact of the matter.
And he's more than involved. He
is making decisions.
He is making the decisions. Like, we've said it, like, when Arthur Smith was fired, going all the way back there, Terry Fontenot wasn't even fucking there.
Yeah.
He was a ghost. Your general manager has no balls. And it's not because I don't believe Terry Fontenot has balls. They've stripped him from him. They've cut him. They've said, you know what, Terry, you don't make decisions. Like, Rich McKay has been a horrendous decision maker. And yet, when we were making our coaching search, it was Rich McKay sitting by Arthur Blank. Like, there is nothing else that needs to be said. And the idea, and we said it when the Falcons announced soon after, which they pretty much did after they hired Arthur Smith. They try to be like, Rich McKay is no longer involved in these things. And then they do the exact same thing. And they just expect you to put up your blinders, you're a dumbass, and believe it. And it's all bull crap. It's all bull crap. So you need, if there is one person that everybody should be upset with, well, two people. It's Arthur Blank and it's Rich McKay, because they're the only people that have been here the entire time making the decisions. And God forbid if they hadn't got Matt Ryan, who's a borderline Hall of Famer and careers they pretty much wasted, didn't win a Super Bowl with them, where the fuck would this organization be? Because yes, they lucked out and got a franchise quarterback after the whole Michael Vick fiasco and Bobby Petrino fiasco. Like, they really lucked into that. They really did. And had they not fired Rich McKay before that, I'm not sure they get that. Thomas Dimitroff stepped in and made that decision.
So, I mean, let's just go back to that right there. Somebody hired fucking Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
I mean,
you look at they have been there through this the entire time, and the ones making the decisions for this disaster class. And like I said, multiple general managers. It's probably going to be 3 after this year, because they're going to push the blame elsewhere. That's what they got to do. And you ask yourself, why the hell won't they just say Rich McKay's involved? Like, why are they so
because they care about what the fans say.
They care about what the fans.
So pathetic.
They care about what the fans say. They just want to avoid blame.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. They want to avoid taking blame.
This organization is so good at shifting around blame. It's like shifting around, like if it's if everybody collaborates, I've said it so many different times. If everybody is collaborating from the head coach to the owner and everybody in between, CEO, GM, McKay, Beatles, every single person, therefore nobody is to blame. Because what are you going to do? Fire everybody? No, you're not going to do that.
And here's the thing. That's my point. Like, it's funny how they do that. And the expectation is like, well, what are you going to do? Fire everyone? Or what do you want us to do? Fire? Yeah. Oh, there were 8 people in there? Fire them the fuck all. Literally fire all 8 of them, including you. Or, it's kind of like getting arrested, like a cop. It's like, well, if someone doesn't take the blame, I'm going to arrest all of you. Okay, no one wants to take the blame? Fuck all of you. Yep. Like, you're all dumbasses. Like, they all just contribute in this, so nobody can take the blame. But fine. Nobody wants to take the blame for all this bullshit we've been put through, specifically in the last 8 years, but really the last 20 plus years under Rich McKay's guidance. All of you. Screw all of you.
What's even crazier is, Greg Beatles is not, unscathed in all this. This guy's hands aren't clean. I mean, I'm telling you, the easiest way to keep a job in the city of Atlanta is to work for an Arthur Blank company, stay there for a decade plus, and know how to kiss the ring. If you know how to speak Arthur Blank's language, have a nice tailor, work there for 10 years, you will never get fired. Nobody in this organization ever is worried about losing their job. In the coaching hire cycle, you mentioned it. Like, they were making decisions, and this came out. I don't remember who, but it was like a Breer or somebody of, that stature where they say it, we should listen. And especially when you're talking about this organization, if it sounds right, it's probably right. When they're talking about the 8 people that were involved and then the 2 outside firms, what the fuck is that? What does that even fucking mean? Like, what? An outside firm helping with a hiring cycle? Are they just a McKinsey consultant? What the fuck does that even mean? Get football guys. You want to consult? Maybe get a John Gruden, somebody who actually has been around the fucking game forever. That's another thing. But 8 people, and most of them or some of them in this report from Breer, when we were hiring Raheem Morris, they were making comments and decisions not based on the Falcons organization, but based on their own job security. Right then and there, you've got a problem. If you've got guys who are more concerned with their own well-being than the overall being of the Atlanta Falcons franchise, you're never going to fucking succeed. And Rich McKay was fingered as the one guy who did not want Bill Belichick for personal reasons, not professional reasons. He may have hid behind the reasons of he's not good for Atlanta. And guess what? Just because you stumbled into something and were right doesn't mean your process was right, like you said. It ended up being a blessing in disguise, not going with Bill Belichick and that whole mess. But also, did it also ever come up against, I don't know, Mike Vrabel or somebody else that was a candidate that may have been better than Raheem Morris, but they fingered Raheem Morris as the guy who could kind of, he's one of us, we'll control him. It's like the mafia where they're like, if you're not in the blank mafia, you're not allowed, and they don't give a fuck about being better. Or if they really did, heads would roll. He was talking about, are you mad? Cellini or Domino? I don't remember who it was. He was like, are you mad? Is blank mad? Because at a certain point, I don't think people understand, like, the NFL is built, specifically the NFL. It is unlike this in any other professional league, built for you to be horrible one year and very, very good in the playoffs the next. It is built for that. And to go 7 years, going on 8 years of not making the playoffs, and one of these guys asked Rich McKay, are you or Arthur Blank mad? Won't even comment on it. What do you mean? Yes. How is that even how is that going to go wrong if he says, yes, I'm mad about not making the playoffs? Or you could rephrase it if you want to spin it with your BR bullshit, that's all the Falcons do, is I'm mad for the fans. I'm mad because they deserve better. How is that going to come in any sort of backlash at all? It can't.
No, it can't.
Just say you're mad. And if you're not mad, that's a fucking problem.
And it's 8 years, guys.
8 years.
Like we're talking about 8 years. And frankly, I know this is a little bit off topic and it's unfortunate that we're having these conversations 2 weeks after we had such a monumental win over the Bills where it looked like things, we were excited. And I said then, no guarantee the Falcons make the playoffs because they're the Atlanta Falcons, and Raheem Morris I don't have faith in. There were a lot of things I still didn't have faith in, but I did have faith in the bones of this roster and going out there and competing every single week and competing at the end of the season. You go look at the NFC South or the NFC playoff picture, good fucking luck getting into the playoffs, especially with the Patriots and the Colts winning. Like, they have to split or they're done. And if they really need to win too, because guess who's sitting in the last wild card spot right now? The San Francisco 49ers, who you don't have
and
the tiebreaker.
The Panthers.
Yeah, well, yeah, but they're not even in there though. They're not even in there.
They're 3-3.
I know, but they're not in the playoff picture. Like the wild card teams right now. The Detroit Lions, we're not catching up to them in record. The Los Angeles Rams, like maybe, but highly unlikely. And the San Francisco 49ers, like those are the three teams that you're chasing right now. Like those three teams, they're better than you. And and the Niners are getting healthier and they own the tiebreaker and they're 2 games ahead of you. And you've got the Patriots and Colts signing up. So you're looking damn straight in an 8-year playoff drought. Most likely another coaching search, and most likely Rich McKay sitting up there with Arthur Blank for the 3rd time. And you're going to tell me that he's not the problem. Like, come on.
He is Grima Wormtongue. I say it all the time. I said it a bunch during the Hiring Strike. If you're not a Lord of Rings fan, he's that fucking creepy guy who's whispering and poisoning the king. I mean, he is Grima Wormtongue, whether he likes it or not. And I absolutely believe this guy has, good intentions in terms of he wants the Falcons to be good so he looks better. But the simple fact of the matter is this guy has been here for 2 decades in some capacity. He has been in the Atlanta organization for 2 decades. And this organization has seen some very high highs, but it's also seen more lows. This organization as a whole, since Arthur Blank took over, has seen more lows than highs. And at the end of the day, I keep saying it, in a league built to vault you to the top every so often, a couple of years, you get a good draft pick, for us not to even sniff the playoffs. I mean, yeah, we've been floated around 500, but if you go and dice and look at those, we have never been close. We haven't had a chance other than last year where we needed the Saints to upset the Bucs, and that was never going to happen. And we ended up losing anyway.
We have not held the control of our own destiny
in years
outside of and going into the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season in years. And we compare ourselves to the Browns and the Dolphins recently. And that might be selling those 2 organizations short, because they've been in the playoffs. Like, at least, like the Dolphins have at least gone to the playoffs. Yeah, they might have gotten absolutely trounced or lost to a backup quarterback.
I'd love to get my ass kicked in the playoffs.
They have been to the playoffs. The Browns have been to the playoffs with Joe fucking Flacco. Like, it's not like you said, you're built to go in. The NFC South has been the worst division in goddamn football since Tom Brady left. And the Bucs have been a decent team and a tough team to out in the playoffs, but they've typically got there by winning 9 games. Yeah. Like, all you had to do was go 9-8. Last year, all you had to do was go 9-8. 9-8 after you were 6-3, and you couldn't do it. And it's
you're gonna go 3-5.
And as we pointed out during that entire season, like, had you gone to Penix earlier, you probably would have won 1 more game. Had you let Younghoe Koo cut ties completely, or at least put him on the IR because he was injured, you probably win 1, 2, maybe even 3 more games, because he missed a ton of costly field goals.
Jimmy Lake too.
Had you cut ties with him after about 4 weeks, like you probably should have, you probably win more football games. Had you learned how to call a timeout, like, there was easily 12 wins out there for the Atlanta Falcons last year based on coaching. But if you want to get mad at Raheem Morris, you can't do it without getting mad at the people that are in charge. And that's Arthur Blank and Rich McKay. And it's been like that for 20 years. And until they make a change there, and it's not,
nothing's going to change.
Yeah. But
unless you just lucked into a head coach, because that's the only way, because there's no fucking way without some devious plot behind the scenes or just pure stupidity that the Atlanta Falcons saw Mike Vrabel out there and decided to go with Raheem Morris. There's absolutely no way. Or Mike Vrabel just didn't want to be here. I don't know. I can't tell.
But here's two things to that. Like, one, why would Mike Vrabel not want to be here? Because it's a mess above him.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. Because this roster, better than the Patriots roster a couple years ago or last year.
It's the Patriots roster this year isn't even that good.
But what I'm saying is, 2 years, first of all, I wasn't even offered a job. Like, this roster was a good roster. We say it right now. It's still a good roster. So the coaches should have been lining up willing to take this job, especially considering Arthur Blank is a guy that gives you time gives you plenty of time, more time than you deserve to get things right. So people should have been lining up to work for a man like that. So either one, they seriously didn't consider Vrabel, and they wanted Raheem Morris because he was in
a yes man. He's a yes man.
Yeah, he's a yes man. He's part of the group. He's not going to ask too many questions.
He's blooded into this Atlanta Falcons organization.
He's not really a guy that everybody else was trying to poach. He's not a guy. He's not a guy that is going to have an NFL future after this. So he basically has to do whatever you say. Mike Vrabel, he knew he was getting pretty much any job he wanted at some point, as long as he waited. So whether they went after him or he didn't want him, it's both because of what's going on up top. It's both because of that. So you lost out on Mike Vrabel because of your incompetence at the top, regardless of which direction you want to say. They just didn't like him, or he didn't want to be here. Because the only reason he wouldn't want to be here is because you got people meddling around that want to make the decisions behind the scenes and avoid accountability.
Lost in all of this mess is Terry Fontenot, who I will have done a complete 180 on, who I will defend now, who I will take back everything that I said. I can admit when I was wrong. I promise. He doesn't deserve to be fired with Raheem Morris. That doesn't mean he's not going to be. It's pretty fucking hard to survive 3 head coaches as a GM without making
absolutely
the playoffs. It's really hard.
And this thing, like I said, could spiral to it where it looks really, really bad on the GM, even though I do not believe it's his fault. Like they could easily go to 3-6 here, and then who knows? They lose 8, 9, 10 games, and someone that doesn't really have the ins and out of the Falcons will say this roster has regressed, when that couldn't be further than the truth. But guess what? Somebody has to take blame. And when the people at the top won't do it, the obvious answer is, oh, we'll just fire the GM. He clearly doesn't know what he's doing. We'll just fire the head coach. He clearly doesn't know what he's doing. And we're doing the same song and dance.
Yeah, we're chasing our tail.
With the same 2 people in charge. With the same that is what's going on.
They have so much on the line this week in New England. I mean, because you're traveling across the pond to Germany to play, the fighting Daniel Joneses, who look pretty fucking good.
Pretty good. I mean, best team in the league so far.
And you're playing Drake May, who's playing like a top 5 quarterback this week, and an offense that looks exactly like you want to see if you're the Atlanta Falcons. You lose these 2 games. What are you now? 3-6. 3-6. I mean, you're talking about now not only throwing away this season. You're talking about throwing away potentially the next couple of seasons, because you're talking about getting first of all, you are getting rid of Raheem Morris. If you don't know now, you should know that Raheem Morris isn't the guy. Then you're talking about delaying Michael Penix Jr.'s development, regardless if you keep him, because we know Z-Rob doesn't know what the fuck he's doing either. And now you don't have a first-round pick next year either. So even if you do keep Terry, you obviously have James Pierce Jr., but you're also taking away the most valuable thing that you could possibly have in this league, in a first-round pick. And even if you do get a new GM, what fucking GM's going to want to come here without a first-round pick?
With no first-round pick, with a quarterback that he didn't draft, with all the stuff that we just mentioned.
We are chasing our tails, boys. We have got to win this week.
Yeah. I mean, and who knows? The way this roller coaster of a season has, I'm not counting that out. But even if they win this week, it's not good, because it's still a long road uphill to the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, changes are going to be made. Michael Penix's development is going to be hindered. GMs aren't going to want to come here. We're going to once again get the 2nd level, 3rd level guys that are on the market. And that's just what you got.
All right. Spitball, tier 1 head coaches next year.
The only thing that, like you said, Alex, about Arthur Blank, because I do believe this in my heart of hearts that he wants to win.
He wants to
about
win
as much as anyone does, but he wants to do it with his best friends beside him, with the guys that he wants beside him. And unfortunately, those guys are poisoning him, poisoning this entire organization, and he doesn't want to believe it because he's blinded by friendship. Like we all have been at some point in our life about friends. We all have friends, and this is different because they were probably actually doing bad things. He's just sucking at his job. But we've all had those friends where it's like we will die on that hill for them no matter what, even if deep down we know they're not doing the best for our interests.
At least in that aspect, though, it's just singular, where it's like impacting you, where like Arthur Blank has got to sit back and realize that there are millions of Falcons fans out there who are just day in, day out.
And they're going,
sorry.
And guess what? The number's not increasing.
No.
The number is not increasing.
I'm a fighting, well, maybe not next week, but I like me some Daniel Jones. I just like that idiot has turned it around. I love it.
It's amazing what you can do when you get out of bad organizations, guys.
Yeah.
It is amazing what you can do. But if you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button. And let me tell you something, guys. We're all in this together. Rich
At least
McKay,
we have each other.
Yeah. And through all the bullshit, we will be with you guys. Thank you guys for watching.
Ross.